Hi guys. Welcome back to my channel. Alright, just woke up. And today I'm going to show you what a normal day in my life as a Viking actually looks like. So, let's get started. First thing I need to do, check the fire. Because if this thing dies during the night, tomorrow morning is going to be extremely cold. Yep, still alive. Good. That's basically my Viking alarm clock. No phone. No electricity. Just fire. And if you're wondering why there's smoke inside the house, yeah, that's normal too. Our longhouse has an opening in the roof to let some of it escape. So every morning, I get to wake up smelling like I've been personally smoked. Fantastic. Anyway, before I do anything else, I need water. There's no tap, obviously. So I grab some from the barrel. Cold. Very cold. But at least it wakes me up. Now, breakfast. And before you imagine me eating a giant roasted pig, relax. It's morning. I've got some bread, fish, and whatever else we've got available. Simple. But it works. Because today I've got a lot to do. And trust me, being a Viking isn't just waking up, grabbing an axe, and running towards someone. Most days, someone has to actually keep this place alive. So let's go outside. You can already hear everyone working. Someone's feeding animals. Someone's preparing food. Someone's fixing tools. Someone's carrying wood. And there's always somebody shouting. I don't even know what they're shouting about. But apparently it's important. I'm heading down to the water. Because today, I'm helping repair a boat. And here's the part nobody puts in the Viking movies. A huge part of Viking life was basically fixing things before they broke. Because when your entire world depends on wooden buildings, wooden tools, and wooden boats, you better get very good at repairs. And this boat is extremely important. Because without boats, a lot of Viking life becomes walk everywhere. And that's not happening. Look at these planks. They are damaged. If water gets through them, we are going to have a very bad day. So, time to work. Hammer, wood, more wood, and several hours of regretting my life choices. There. One plank done. Only a few more. My arms already hate me. And I'm not even halfway finished. People imagine Viking life as constant adventure. But honestly, a lot of it looks like this. Work, repair, build, repeat. And that's actually the part people forget. The famous Viking stories are full of raids, battles, and voyages. But somebody had to build the houses, fix the boats, make the tools, grow the food, and keep everything running. Otherwise, there wouldn't be any Viking adventure at all. And honestly, if you're enjoying seeing Viking life from this side, do me a favor. Hit subscribe. Because on this channel, we are not just talking about the famous battles. We are getting into the weird, the ordinary, and the stuff nobody puts in the history books. Alright, back to work. Look at the tools. These aren't modern power tools. Obviously, everything takes time. If you need something, you have to make it, repair it, or trade for it. Which brings me to something pretty important. The market. Let's go see what's happening there. Alright, we are here. And this place is busy. People are trading all kinds of things. Furs, food, tools, metal, cloth, and silver. And here's something interesting. Silver isn't always treated like the coins you use today. Sometimes silver could be weighed, cut, and traded by its value. So basically, imagine paying for lunch, and someone puts a tiny piece of silver on a scale. Very different from tapping your phone. Anyway, look over there. That's the blacksmith. And yes, he's making weapons, but he's also making everyday tools, knives, fittings, farm equipment, things people actually need. Because a community can't survive on swords alone, unless the swords somehow grow vegetables, which would be incredibly useful. Now, before lunch, I've got one more job. Checking my gear. Here's my axe. It isn't just for fighting. Can use it for chopping wood, building, and other everyday jobs. But if I ever need it in a fight, I want it working properly. So I check the handle, check the blade, make sure nothing is damaged. And then, my shield. This is just as important. If this breaks at the wrong moment, I'm going to have a very bad afternoon. Now, time for training. Because yes, some Vikings trained with weapons. But don't imagine we are fighting every 5 minutes. Training is practice, footwork, movement, shield work, and learning how not to fall over. Let's try this. Swing, block, move, again, swing, block, move, and, okay. My shoulders are already complaining. After a while, you really feel it. So I'm going to stop before my arms fall off. Now, there's something you might notice. I don't have a horned helmet. That's because Surprise! There's no good archaeological evidence that Viking warriors normally wore horned helmets. That famous image came much later. So if you were expecting me to walk around with giant horns, sorry, Hollywood ruined that one for you. Now, lunch. Finally. And I'm starving. We've got more bread, fish, some dairy, and whatever else is available today. Nothing fancy. But when you've been working since morning, this tastes incredible. And now, I've got another problem. Winter. Because surviving winter isn't just about having warm clothes. You need food, animals, firewood, tools. Everything has to be prepared beforehand. You can't exactly say, oops, we are out of food. I'll order some. There's no delivery Viking coming to save you. So people have to plan ahead. A lot. And this is why farming and food storage are so important. Because surviving isn't just about being strong. It's about being prepared. Anyway, back to work. The boat still needs fixing. And somehow, I'm still alive. Hours later, we are finally finished. Look at that. Beautiful. Well, not beautiful, but it floats. And that's what matters. Now, the sun is starting to go down. And this is probably my favorite part of the day. Everyone starts gathering around the fire. People are eating, talking, laughing, and telling stories. And this is where you realize something. Viking life isn't just about warriors. It's families, farmers, craftspeople, traders, sailors, and people doing ordinary jobs. The raiders and warriors are only one part of the picture. And honestly, I'm glad. Because if everyone here was a warrior, who would make the bread? Exactly. And this is what everyday Viking life was really about. Not every morning started with a raid. Sometimes, it started with a fire that needed checking, a boat that needed repairing, animals that needed feeding, and food that needed preparing. The adventure was only one part of the story. The rest was simply life. Now, someone is telling a story about a voyage. And I can already tell. He's exaggerating. A little. Apparently. He fought 12 enemies, survived a giant storm, and somehow killed a sea monster. Sure. Absolutely believable. Everyone is laughing. The fire is getting warmer. And for a moment, everything feels peaceful. But there's something strange about looking out at the boats in the darkness. Because those ships can take people incredibly far from home. Vikings didn't just travel around Scandinavia. They reached Iceland, Greenland, and even North America, centuries before Columbus. And suddenly, that little wooden boat sitting beside us doesn't look so ordinary anymore. It looks like a machine that can carry people into another world. Eventually, the fire starts getting lower. People begin heading inside. And I realize something. I expected my day as a Viking to be full of battles. Instead, I spent most of it working, repairing, trading, training, eating, and trying not to freeze. And honestly, that's probably much closer to everyday Viking life. Being a Viking wasn't simply a profession. It was a way of life. You could be a farmer, a trader, a craftsman, a sailor, an explorer, or a warrior. Sometimes, you could be several of those things. And that's what makes this world so interesting. Because behind all the famous raids and battles, there were ordinary people, waking up, going to work, eating dinner, telling jokes, raising families, and trying to survive another day. Anyway, it's getting dark, so I'm heading back inside. Tomorrow, I'll probably wake up, check the fire, get some food, and start working again, unless someone decides we are sailing somewhere. Then, I guess my normal day is over. So, that's one day of my life as a Viking. No smartphone, no electricity, no food delivery, no internet, just fire, wood, boats, food, work, and the occasional threat of someone telling a ridiculous story about fighting a sea monster. Honestly, I'm exhausted. I'll see you tomorrow. If I survive the winter.